always you will feel a little underqualified for going to any company or so on. Don't worry about that, right? In fact, if you prepare well enough, you can be prepared for any company going. There are, I would say, 4 key skills that you definitely need to know. Okay, the first thing being actually one coding language. And in your services companies, if you are good at these concepts, be in any programming language, be it in C++, in Java, in Python, how do you get started in your placement journey? And how do you actually, what is somebody asking, okay, all this is nice, sir, but what is the roadmap to placement? I came here for the roadmap. So what exactly should I be doing in the roadmap for placement? This is exactly what I'm telling you. We have made a list of some important opportunities that you can expect in the coming year. Note them down, or you can just wait. So if you're applying for product roles, I would highly suggest you at least attempt Cognizant Gen-C Next and Infosys Hack with Infi. 2 things from Edist, which is available to all the students out there if you're interested. Infosys InfiTQ is happening right now. That is, it's going to happen in February. If you are interested in preparing for it, now I think we can start the session. I think enough people are there, so we'll begin the session. Okay, today's agenda is as follows. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how our company is hiring in 2022. What are the major opportunities you can go for? How you can prepare, as you all have been asking. What should I do? Which language should I do? Where should I prepare from, and so on. How can I actually start? Okay, I got all this information. Everybody's sharing some information or the other, but how do I actually start, right? And then your questions. So I will be talking about something. I'll pause and take some of your questions. I'll again be talking, take some questions, and at the end I'm going to dedicate a lot of time for questions. Okay. By the way, I've not introduced myself. My name is Anik. I'm the co-founder of this company, Edist. I'm a graduate from IIIT Hyderabad, and helped thousands and thousands of students crack both their dream companies in services or product companies. And you'll see most of that below as well. And you can check out edist.com for more of our details. Today, we're going to help you out with all of these things. But before we go forward, one request to all of you, if you can actually take time out, and absolutely, it'll be great to follow us on both our channels. That's on Instagram. We keep sharing very important information on Instagram, very fun information as well. All of these information will help you in cracking interviews as well. These are like some extra information that we keep sharing. Follow us on YouTube. The channel name is Edist. And on this channel, we are going to do many more sessions as well. So please make sure that you're following us on the Edist YouTube channel as well. All right. So both these things, just make sure that you're following us on both of them, so you get the latest updates. On Instagram, we keep sharing the latest jobs available in the market. Same on YouTube as well. On YouTube, as and when more opportunities are going to come up, we are going to do a lot of free sessions on YouTube. Apart from the paid courses that we have, we do a lot of free sessions here. Will be very useful and beneficial for all of you. So do note this down. Make sure you come back to it and follow us here. Would be great. Okay. So let's get started with what do companies want these days. Okay. And if you look at any job description of any company, which you should all do, I know a lot of you just go and apply for any job, but you should actually check out the job description of a company, and you might get some sort of a reaction like this. Like when you look at it, you might think that you get something like this, where you always think that they're asking things that are much more than what you are capable of, right? You'll always look at the things and see that, oh my God, they're asking these things, but I only know like half of them. My college didn't teach me this, or I didn't learn it, or whatever, right? It's a very famous thing. Like, always you will feel a little underqualified for going to any company or so on. Don't worry about that, right? In fact, if you prepare well enough, you can, be prepared for any company going there. So shall we all start, everybody? Are you all ready to know what companies are actually looking for, what the process is, and so on, right? So yeah, are you all ready? Shall we start? Okay, brilliant. So yeah, you might feel that, you are inexperienced, you're not really up there. And the reason is, it could be true. Okay, while obviously you cannot, with the 30 years experience, you can't be age 26, that this is a joke. But generally speaking, a lot of the candidates who apply are not meeting the exact requirements of what the company wants. The good news is, if you know what the requirements are, starting today, you can actually prepare for it. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is the general hiring process for any company. Right? And This is like the general hiring process. Depending on you're applying for services or product, what's the difference between service and product? I'll come to that also. But depending on them, you're going to have many different ones. So your first round, invariably for most companies, is going to be a written round. So if that company is coming to your campus, or if it's an open, open hiring challenge, then you'll have a written round. And in that written round, this will be for shortlisting. Now, depending on how difficult the company is, you might have 1 or 3 written rounds, right? So you'll have 1 round, then the shortlisted ones go to the next round and the next round, meaning that it could be up to 3 rounds before you even see a technical interview. Up to 3 rounds. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that everybody will do 3, but I'm saying up to 3 rounds. When I say written, again, don't take that you'll write with pen and paper. Most written rounds these days are typically speaking on your system, and they are basically coding based tests. Also, some of them do aptitude tests as well. And I'm not talking about a service or product right now. Both of the services and product companies kind of follow this pattern. Then you have technical interviews, again, depending on the complexity of the role that you're applying for, which kind of company you're applying for. It can go up to 5 interviews even. Typically speaking, for any services company, it is at about 1 interview, 1 technical interview. And for certain product companies, it could go even up to 6 or 7 technical interviews. Then you have the HR round, which is nothing but, again, an interview. So this is an interview, just so that you guys don't get confused. This is more of a behavioral round. It's not easy, it's not difficult, but don't think that it's a piece of cake. A lot of people have been able to clear like really tough written rounds and technical interviews, and then in HR interviews basically fall short, right? So don't take it for granted that, okay, it's some super easy thing to do. But yes, it's easier than the other. And finally, after you've done all of this, you're going to get you're going to be able to get an offer letter, which is like the best thing out there. That's your goal, that you're supposed to get an offer letter. So these are all the processes. Now, on the face of it, it looks okay. I mean, if I prepare for written plus technical plus HR, then I should be good to go, right? That's correct. But there are certain prerequisites you need to have before you even start this process. Okay. That is, in order to be successful in each of these rounds, you need to have certain prerequisites. What are those prerequisites? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me on the chat? What do you think are the prerequisites or the things you need to know to be able to clear through all of these rounds? What do you think it is? Aptitude. Okay, very nice. Yeah, one of the written rounds could be aptitudes. Very good. Coding. Superb. All right. Coding is also one. Yes, absolutely. Confidence. For HR round, you will absolutely need confidence. English also. Most companies hire in English, 99.99%. Problem solving, yes, in both written and technical interviews, you will need that. Communication skills also in the HR round. Yes, very good. DSA, aptitude, coding, English communication. Exactly. Very, very good. Right. Projects. Somebody mentioned projects. Very nice. Body language. Yes. Okay. So those are all the interviewing skills. Good. All right. Yes, you all kind of sort of are getting in the correct place. Okay. There are, I would say, 4 key skills that you definitely need to know. Okay. The first thing being actually one coding language. And if you are applying for services, then aptitude as well. But I'm assuming all of you are okay at aptitude or can pick up aptitude. There is nothing in aptitude that an engineer cannot do, is what I believe, right? Whereas in programming language, you have to actually learn programming. Aptitude is generally like 11th, 12th syllabus, right? So assuming that, depending on company to company, you'll prepare for aptitude. There are 4 main things that you need to prepare for if you're going for a tech interview. Okay. You need to, number 1, be good at one programming language. Now, I have put Java and Python logos here because I feel those are the most popular ones. But you can also do C++. You can also do JavaScript. You can do whichever language you want. It has to be one particular language. Which languages to choose? This I will address at the end of the session, right? I'll spend good 5 minutes on just telling you which language to choose. But I'm saying you need to be good at least one programming language. Minimum one programming language you all need to be good at. Okay. If you're good at more than one, it's great, but not necessary. But minimum one you need to be good at. What do I mean by need to be good at? You can take input, print output. You can write loops. You can write conditions. You can use arrays and lists. You can do the major algorithms. You know how to write some data structures in it. And I'll give you this entire list also separately. But you need to be good at least one programming language. Okay. Now, if I'm good at one programming language, does that make me, immediately available to be hired by company? No. Because if that was the case, at the end of your first year, first semester, you would all get companies coming to you, giving you job offer letters, right? That does not happen, right? The reason is they just don't want you to have a programming language. The second thing they really like from you is good project. As a software programmer, you need to be having a good project. Now, what exactly is a good project? I'll share that separately in the next slide. But you need to have a good project. Some people are saying, can we ask questions? Questions towards the end of the session. You will have plenty of time to ask questions at the end of the session. So, good project needs to be had. What do I mean by a good project over here? I'll share that over there, but you need to have a particular project. Generally speaking, the kind of projects I have seen in your colleges, that is, some hospital management system, some hotel management system, these are pretty outdated. It needs to be a little bit more advanced and modern, and I'll share the exact parameters of that. Why do I need a good project? You need a good project because if we talk about all the 4 rounds, what will you talk about in the technical interview round? Yes, you can get away by answering theory questions. But if you are applying for good companies, especially with higher packages, they will want to know what kind of project you have done. And your technical interview round will be based, at least one of the interviews will be based only on your project. So make sure your project is, up to the mark. Okay, so that's one. The third thing that you require is a great resume. Great resume is half what you put on it and half how you structured your resume. So again, I'll share some tips on that also. Why do I need a good resume? Well, you go to the first step to even be shortlisted for written round, especially if you're going for off campus, you need a great resume. The same resume you are going to use for technical interview and HR interview. For both of them, they don't have any history about you. Maybe the other panelist might give them notes, but when they come to the interview and they're trying to see what kind of questions to ask you, the first thing they're going to pick up is they're going to pick up your resume, either with their hand or they'll check it online. But my point is, the first thing they're going to look at is your resume. And your resume, if it's not great, you're already off to a bad start in the interview. So far, I've mentioned 3 things that are required for, as a prerequisite. What are the 3 things, everybody, that I've mentioned so far? Language, very nice. One programming language, very good. Good project, absolutely correct. You need a good project. And the third thing, resume, right? All these things are there. Now, let's go to the fourth one. The fourth one comes communication skills. This everybody had guessed in the correct way. Why communication skills? Because you have to actually talk in an interview. I have seen so many talented students. Trust me, I really sometimes feel really bad because I saw so many talented students, brilliant at a programming language, has 3-4 projects, superb resume when I see it. When they open their mouth, they are not able to explain what they have done, not even in English. Sometimes in English also they struggle. This kind of a person is a great engineer. Unfortunately, it's not just about engineering and sitting in a corner and writing code. You have to interact with so many different people. And right now, English is the language that is there for interaction. Maybe in the future, you all change the world and you make sure that only Indian languages are there. That's a separate story. For now, for the next 30-40 years, we are all going to use English and we are all going to sit and communicate in English. So for that, you need to have good communication skills in English. When I say good, I'm not talking about great vocabulary. You don't have to speak like Shakespeare or something. You have to be able to communicate your ideas. That is, the other person should understand what you're saying, even if it's grammatically incorrect a little bit here and there. I have seen senior people, 20 years experienced people, have small problems in their grammar. No issue. Everybody understands what they're speaking. Great. I have seen people not able to write properly with grammar, but we all understand what they have written. Great. That's all we need then. So I'm not asking you guys to go and take up English literature course. Okay. I'm asking everybody to be able to communicate what you know. So these are the 4 major things that you should all know. That is, proficient in one language, good project, great resume, and communication skills. I want you all to take 1 minute, right? Just take 1 minute right now on a piece of paper or on your phone. Look at these 4 parameters and think about yourself. Try to rate yourself. What all do you need in these 4? It's a personal thing. I'm not asking you to answer it on the chat, but for your own self, judge. Am I good at least one programming language? Do I have a good project? If not, do I have plans to have a good project? Do I have a good resume? Have I even made a resume? Is the resume just a copy of my senior's template? Have I actually put time to understand how to make a resume? If not, mark yourself that you have not done a good resume. Communication skills. Do I always talk to all of my friends in my native language? Do I talk to all of them in slang language? Or am I making an effort to talk to them in English? Do I converse with other people? Have I spoken to other people in English? Can I tell that I am a confident communicator? Write it down in your own. And once you're done, you can tell done on the chat. I want you all to have the self-reflection once. Am I good at a programming language? Do I just know the language? Or do I actually, can I code in it? Do I just, have I heard of Java? Yeah, Java is there, class is there. Or should I act, do I know to actually code in it? Do I have a good project? No. Do I have plans to make a good project? Have I created a resume yet? Is it good? Is it bad? What about my communication skills? Once you have done this internal check for yourself, tell me done, and then I'll move on to the next one. Done and not confident, somebody saying. Done, done. Okay. All right. Very important to everybody. Why I'm making you do this exercise? When you enter the placement process, the point is to go with realistic expectation. And if you don't like where you're at, now is the time to upgrade yourself. I'm assuming all of you are going to graduate in 2023. Some of you might be graduating in 2022. It's right now the time to actually upgrade yourselves. If you're lacking in any one of these four, you're reducing your chance to actually get into a company. All right. So you don't want to do that. A word of caution to everybody. Once you graduate, it becomes very difficult to actually get a job. The reason is you're only going to apply off campus and you become, like, for example, this year is 2021, right? If you are a 2021 batch student, that is you passed out from college in, let's say, August or June or July or something, the number of openings for 2021 graduates is dramatically lesser, much lesser than the number of openings for 2022 and 2023. In fact, how many of you have heard of InfyTQ? You must have all heard of InfyTQ, right? Infosys InfyTQ. Most of you must have heard it. It is open for 2023 graduates. That is people graduating in 2023. Imagine this. 2022 graduates are still in college, right? 2022 graduates are still in college. That is, they're still finishing their 4-2. They will enter their 4-2 semester. Yet, they are not eligible to write InfyTQ or TCS National Qualifier Test or anything. Why? Because the timeline is very short. The moment you enter into your final year, most services companies will not allow you, at least they will maximum allow you till 4-1 mid. Beyond September, October, your chances will go down. So this, and for product companies, I'll come. Don't worry. Don't think we are only talking about services. I'm going to talk about everything. Now, why I made you do this exercise is note down the date today. Today's date is 21st December 2021, right? Note down the date today and realize how much time you have left for your placements. Do that calculation yourself. Nobody else will do this. Your placement officer is not going to do this for you. Your teachers are not going to do this for you. Your faculty is not going to do this for you. Your parents are not going to do this for you. It's your career. You have to do this for yourselves. Write down what is the date today. Calculate how many days you have left. And then realize you have to do these 4 big tasks before then. If you're already good in some of them, great. But otherwise, 4 big tasks you have to actually create here. Somebody saying, I'm in 5th semester. Yeah, that comes to what? 3-1 only, right? That's kind of weird, but okay, great. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you are in your 3rd year right now, you are going to have 3-2 and 4-1. That is your 6th and 7th semester only left for placements. So try to calculate like that. Right? Okay. Great. So everybody's in different semesters over here. I'll come to all of them. Okay. Very good. Somebody saying, any company updates in 2023, where can I see? Follow along this session and you'll get everything. Now, let's talk a little bit about, this programming language. What do I mean by programming language? See, your proficiency or your command of a programming language should depend on which company you're applying for. So generally speaking, we like to divide into three sorts of companies here. One being services company, the other being product and services company, meaning that these are services companies, but with certain product roles. That is, they have some projects they have which are product based projects. Okay. And then you have your product companies altogether. So your services companies, the most famous ones, Wipro, TCS, Infosys, Accenture, good companies, have launched the careers of many great developers. Good place to start your career in. Not the best place, but good place to start. Better than not starting your career anywhere else. So definitely this is your services company. Then you have your product slash services. What happens is certain services companies like your EPAM, like your Gainsight and so on, they create certain projects and products which require a much higher order thinking, but not at the level of product companies. So at that point, they are going to ask you more difficult questions. And finally, you have product companies which are working on a product of their own. They require highly skilled engineers with very good at problem solving. Each of these require different kind of syllabus, and each of these requires different amount of coding expertise. Your services companies require a maximum of 250 hours of coding. Then your product and services companies require more than that, 450 hours of coding, and this requires 1,000 hours of coding at least. So now, what's the syllabus for each? Generally speaking, this is the syllabus, although there are more syllabus accordingly. But in your services companies, if you are good at these concepts, be in any programming language, be it in C++, in Java, in Python, JavaScript, some of the services companies are not taking up. But you cannot go wrong with C++, Java, or Python. Again, I'll come back to the programming language part. But you need to be able to write simple if-else conditions. You need to know maths. What kind of maths? Prime factors, factorials. You need to know this. Loops and nested loops. That is, you can actually like print the multiplication table of a number. You can actually print patterns. Arrays, your basic questions like sum of array, product in an array, sorting in an array, and then basic data structures. So things like stacks, queues, linked lists, maybe trees. Will they ask only those specific questions? No. Generally speaking, most of the services companies mix and match. So they'll combine match question with loops and arrays. They'll combine the basic data structures with conditions or something, right? Then comes your product and services companies. Here, they'll ask you more advanced arrays algorithms. So you'll say, what are those algorithms? There are certain algorithms, like you have your two pointers algorithms, you have your prefix sums algorithms. So they start asking those kind of algorithms. Strings, then data structures. Again, here also they would ask stacks, queues, linked lists, but this is at max, they will ask stacks, queues, linked list. Here, for sure, they are going to ask you stacks, queues, and linked list. Couple of questions on trees or so, and maps and sets is what they're going to ask. If you've never heard of these terms, don't worry. You can pick them up. Please look at them afterwards. But I'm just telling you what are general syllabuses. And then when you go to really dream product companies, you minimum to minimum, they're going to ask you questions on. They're going to ask you questions on all of these. By the way, they assume that advanced arrays, etc., you already know. On top of that, they're going to ask you backtracking, dynamic programming, trees, graphs, segment trees, heaps, those kind of extra data structures as well. The major thing to know here is not the concept as much as the practice. You can know the concept, but if you don't practice, that's why I've written the number of hours of coding here. You need that many hours of coding. Only then you will actually be able to survive in any one of these companies and give the interviews. Otherwise, you will not be able to even do it. Now, what does it mean to have 250 hours of coding? It means from the very basic hello world up until data structures, you need to know 250 hours of coding. So for example, if you've already done hello world, you already done conditionals, you've already done maths, means that you need less than 250 hours because you already did some of it before, right? And so on. Somebody's asking, what about Deloitte? Deloitte generally comes between like at product services companies level, and somebody's asking about Capgemini. Capgemini has both roles, services companies as well as product services companies role. I'll come to that in another slide where I talk about companies. Okay. Somebody's saying campus placements are going to start in 3.2 itself, right? Yes, they are. And many campuses and colleges start their 3.2 right now, like in about Jan or so. So, that's what I'm saying. You have very little time left. Remaining questions I'll take after the, in about, give me 10 more minutes and then I'll be taking the remaining questions. Okay. All right. So these are some of the things that you need to prepare for. And the thing is, This is super important because without this, you won't even crack the the written round. The written round will be a combination of aptitude, which is services companies follow, and the concepts mentioned there. That is the product and services companies concepts here. The written rounds is going to be solely based on, can you write code in these topics for the respective companies that you are applying for? That's the written round. Okay, great. You cleared the written round. Next comes technical interview. Technical interview is going to be two things. One is your project and two is your theoretical knowledge. So I'll come to that. Now, coming to project, major thing to avoid in project is this, right? Most of you fall into this. Look at the meme, be happy, laugh if you want to. But most new programmers try to go for the shiny object. What is a shiny object? Hey, I just did hello world yesterday. Can I do artificial intelligence tomorrow? I just did hello world today. Can we go and learn blockchain tomorrow? Right? Don't do that. Right? Don't just make a project for the sake of project, that somebody made a project. My college is having a project session, or somebody else is having a project session. One day I'll sit in their project and I'll just make the project. Make it to learn from it, that's fine, but that cannot be your major project, right? The best project that you make has to be detailed. Typically speaking, a good project made has to have the following things. One, it can be any technology of your choice. So you can use AI, ML and all of that if you want, but don't do shortcuts. Don't don't just go to some YouTube or that and just watch 1 hour video and say, yeah, got it, I got my project, right? That's it. So don't think that that's just going to help you out over there. Second thing, it must be detailed. You can't basically just do a particular project, right? Okay, okay, cool. Yeah, so you can't just do like a project that is not detailed, right? Like, for example, my rule of thumb is, if 1 second. Yeah, so if, for example, my project was done in 1 hour, my particular project was done just in 1 hour, how much can you talk about that project? You can talk about that project for maybe like I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's how much you can talk about the project. You can't really talk much about the project apart from that, right? So that's what I'm saying. Make sure that the project is very detailed, and make sure that you're able to talk about it at least for like 1 hour, right? Otherwise, if it's not detailed, if you're spent only 1 hour making the project, you can probably talk about it for 20 minutes at max. Not good enough. And it'll be really good if you publish that project on GitHub. If you don't publish on GitHub, it's fine. But if you have it on GitHub and you can show your interviewer that this is the project I published, then that will be really good. Okay, so that's about the project. So again, just recapping, how do you get started in your placement journey, and how do you actually, what is somebody asking, okay, all this is nice, sir, but what is the roadmap to placement? I came here for the roadmap. So what exactly should I be doing in the roadmap for placement? This is exactly what I'm telling you. In order to prepare for placement, what you need to be able to do is you need to have these 4 things. So the roadmap is, there's no sequence that you do this, then you do this, then you do this. But the recommended way is, be good at least one programming language, then make a really good project. Then all of these 2 will help you make a great resume. All the while, not after you do all this, no, all the while simultaneously or continuously, make sure you're picking up the communication skills. Now, some of you will ask, how good should I become in a programming language? Well, how good you become in a programming language depends on which company you are going for. If you are going for a services company, you need only 250 hours of coding. If you need like product services/service company, 450 hours of coding, and product companies, more than 1,000 hours of coding. Where to code, where to practice, I'll share some of that with you. But I'm just saying that this is how you're supposed to go ahead with it. So then this is what a good project is about. Now, coming to resumes and interviews, that is a different topic in itself. And that's why I said, do follow our channels, right? Follow the Instagram channel as well as our YouTube channel over here. For more details on this, we are going to organize many more sessions on how you can improve your resume, how you can improve yourself in interviews. If you want to improve yourself, just follow us on this. There are other resources also, but I'm just saying we are going to do a lot more free sessions. So make sure you follow us, subscribe to our channels, because we'll make the announcements there. In this session, I don't think I can cover that vast a topic here. All right. So make sure you follow us there. All right. So just a recap of everything I've done, of everything we've covered today, and then we'll go forward. I'll take all of your questions. What are the 4 things required for any good placements, everybody? What are the 4 things required? What are the 4 things required that you absolutely must have? Programming language, great. Good project, great resume, and lastly, communication skills, right? So communicate. So these are the 4 things you require. If you want to crack placements, these are the 4 things. Now you'll say, sir, but service is different, product is different. Yes. The major difference that you will see in service and product companies is this part, these 2 parts. In a service company, your language skills don't need to be, that is, your programming language skills don't need to be up there. In the sense, you don't need to know all these advanced topics. You can just know the first column of topics. If you're going for service company, in a product company, you need to know all these topics. Second thing is the project. In a project, in a service company, you can have not such a detailed project, but in a product company, you definitely need to have a detailed project. In a product company, that project interview itself can go at least from 30 to 40 minutes. Whereas in a service company, at max, it will go till 20 minutes, including the project, meaning that apart from the project, they'll ask you a couple of theory questions also. So depending on which company you're aiming for, you should do this here. One slight note, since so many of you are asking, if you don't have a good project, but you have a good internship, then internship is a very good substitute for project. Internship is a very, very good substitute for project. Okay. So, and vice versa. If you don't have an internship, then you can do a very good project as well. All right. Now, 2 important things to share with all of you, right? Before we go on to the Q&A, we have made a list of some important opportunities that you can expect in the coming year. Okay. Some important opportunities you can expect in the coming year. Note them down, or you can just wait. This entire video is being uploaded on YouTube. We'll share the link with all of you. Right. So these opportunities, they will come up. Make sure you're always looking out for them. The links, etc., will come up soon, but I'm just going to just share all of this with you. So for services company, if you are preparing for services company, TCS CodeVita is a brilliant opportunity. It's going to happen in January. Not sure if they're going to hire from for TCS this time, but the next round they could. TCS NQT, that's a national qualifier test. Again, TCS hires a lot. In fact, this year they're going to hire many, many more people from TCS NQT. Infosys InfiTQ registration is already open for this. Check out our YouTube channel for everything related to Infosys InfiTQ. We already did a video on this. Okay. Where do you apply for all of this? Simply Google for these words. You will get the application links, right? As a software engineer, at least that much you guys should be able to do. Okay. Somebody saying we have InfiTQ in February. Very good. Follow our YouTube channel. We have done an exclusive session on all of this where we cover everything you need to know how to prepare for InfiTQ. Cognizant Gen C is there. Wipro Elite National Talent Hunt is there. All of these opportunities are not even on campus. They are off campus, meaning that anybody can go and register for them when they are open. All of these are not open. All of these are not open. Hence, I cannot share a link with you because there is no link. They're not open. They will open in the year. Generally speaking, they come up in the year. Okay. So that's the thing. I don't know when all the exams will be. InfiTQ is going to be in February. But other than that, I don't know because they're not open as yet. Also, there's a Virtusa neural hack. This is another way of you can get into a company, in this case Virtusa. So make sure that you make a note of all of these different contests and keep on the lookout for them, and make sure that you're always on the lookout so that you can register for this. Going to the next one, for product companies. Now for product, we made a list of 10 over here, but there are many more that keep coming. So again, do follow us on our channels and you'll keep coming to know about all of the different opportunities that we have coming up, right? So Goldman Sachs, this is live right now. Okay. Goldman Sachs, it's a product role. It's live right now, meaning that they're actively actually asking for registrations. You can go and register for them. The Google Step intern should open up in May 2022 is what it should be. Go and look for this. Is it for 2023 batch? Yes. Yeah. So these open up every year. All of these open up. They will tell you the requirements. Some are only for 2023. 2022 is also allowed and so on. So just go and check the requirements of each of these contests. Yeah, Google Kickstart. I think everybody should know about that by now. There's a Quora hiring challenge. Walmart has a Code Hers challenge. This is I think a women specific challenge. Code Nation has a Code Aegon. Myntra Hacker Ramp. Cognizant Gen C next. So Cognizant, Why Cognizant did I put here? Well, Cognizant also has certain product roles. So I'm putting it as a product/service role. Same thing with Infosys Hack with Infi. The level of questions are really good here. So if you're applying for product roles, I would highly suggest you at least attempt Cognizant Gen Z Next and Infosys Hack with Infi, especially Infosys Hack with Infi. Level of questions is really, really good. Whether you join or not is a separate thing, but level of questions is really good. Competitive programming level questions are there. Okay. All right. Now we'll open it up to Q&A. Before I open it up to Q&A, just two announcements for all of you. Two things from Edist, which is available to all the students out there if you're interested. Infosys InfyTQ is happening right now. That is, it's going to happen in February. If you are interested in preparing for it, preparing for all the previous year's questions and attending special classes done by me, do check out the Infosys InfyTQ preparation pack. You can go to this link, bit.ly/edist-infytq. We have a special offer also going on right now. You can check it out. Again, the good thing about this course is that we will have live classes at the time of InfyTQ, which you can go and attend, and which will cover all the previously asked questions. I will be taking all of the revision sessions. We are not teaching you any programming language in this. It's just a preparation pack. All the previously asked questions are basically there in this one. If you guys are interested in that, check it out. If you're preparing for Infosys InfyTQ, I've shared the link on the chat also. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, link is in the description below. We are also launching for all those product companies, people who want to aim for the big companies. We are also launching a new batch to learn data structures and algorithms. Our alumni are currently working in these companies. So we have helped crack all the product companies. You have your, and people are working from anywhere between like 14 to 40 LPA in this batch. They're working in Adobe, Zenoti, Amazon, Flipkart, ServiceNow, you name it, like all the product companies and many more. If you want to actually prepare for all these product companies, we have a new batch starting in January 2022 on the 10th Jan 2022. It's a very exclusive batch taking only about 40 students. And I think about more than 20% of the batch is already full about 20 days before itself. So there's going to be very limited batch. We generally don't take everybody who, it's a first come first serve basis. So make sure you, try to get in as soon as possible. Brilliant instructors. I mean, I'm there, and obviously Devang is also there. Devang is a great instructor. He himself alone has cracked more than 30 product companies himself, including your Facebook, Google, Microsoft, you name it. Currently working at Cisco. He is one of your instructors. We will have weekly live classes on this. Let me also share the schedule of that course as well with all of you, if you guys are interested in joining that course. So once you click that link, this is the page that opens up for all of you, right? And 1 second. Yeah. So this is the page that's going to open up for all of you over here. This is the schedule of the classes. Make sure that you check the schedule of the classes. And before joining, it'll join on 10th. It'll start on 10th Jan. We will have a class every 2 days and an assessment also every 2 days. So basically 4 engagements every week, 2 classes, 2 assessments, and the course should finish by around March, giving you enough time. First week of March is going to finish, giving you enough time to actually prepare for any product company out there. These are your instructors, me and Devang. We're going to help you out with that. We also have an early bird offer going on here, only valid for a few days remaining, right? Only till 26th December. So roughly till this Sunday. If you're interested, join. The price does increase after that. And again, we already have 7 people booked. So we will only take about more 33 people, and that's about it. So first come, first serve. So that's about it. About what we can offer, right? To help you prepare. And now I am open to taking any particular questions that you have. Don't worry. Any questions you have, please do ask, and I'll answer them. Okay. All right. I have my SEM-end exams during Jan and Feb. Do you record videos of these courses? Yes. For each course that we do, we have recorded videos. So once we have done the live session, if you were not able to attend it, you get the recording within like 5 minutes itself, and you can have access to it. So if we have backlogs in placement time, do we have chance to attend interview? 2 people to check with: placement officer, and check with the company you're applying. Some companies don't care. Some companies do care. Is Latent View a product-based company? I have not heard of it. I'll check it out and I can let you know later. Sir, cost to learn Python. Python typically we sell for about 3,999, if I remember correctly, and a new batch should open up mid-January. So do follow our YouTube page and all for that. When is next batch after 10th Jan? Next batch will probably be at the end of February or so. That will be the next batch. Which internship is best? Any internship where you actually did development work. Don't go to internship. Absolutely do not go to any internship where you paid to join the internship. Make sure that the internship makes you do real work. They are not just making you do a toy project. Make sure the interview is doing the internship is doing a real work. So you created a component, you actually contributed to the company. That is the best one because you can talk most about it. Some examples of a good project. We will share some examples. One of the things you can do if you're going for services companies, the simplest projects that you can do, again, you can go to the Edist YouTube channel. We have a bunch of free projects for you to do over there. Some other good, examples would be any full stack project that is having a good backend, having a good front end, and not just with CRUD operations. That is, you're just not creating entities, but you're actually doing some logic with it. That's a good project to start with. We'll do a separate session to give you proper examples of what are the kind of projects you can expect. Sir, is online internship worth it? Again, if you're paying for internship, it's not worth it. Otherwise, internship anywhere is fine. In fact, these days, most jobs are remote, or rather, a lot of jobs are remote. So make sure that, it doesn't really matter if the internship is online as well. As long as you're learning something new in that's the main thing. 2019 pass out. Okay, so for you, we have a completely, like I have different set of advices. For you, I would say that you have to get really good at one particular stack. So that is like either Android, iOS, full stack web development. Make yourself specialist in one thing and start applying off campus for a lot of those jobs. It's a separate process for you. So I think this was specifically for 2023 graduates. So I can't really, talk to you about that over here. Which companies hire non-IT person like mechanical, automobile? If you want to get into services companies, if you want to get into software company, and but you are not from a non-CSE background. So generally speaking, these are the most asked questions I get. I'm not from CSE branch. How should I start? Companies will hire you. In fact, companies these days are more and more not looking at the branches, but they're looking at can you code or not. So yeah, if you're not from a CSE branch, most services companies will definitely hire you, and product companies also. Some product companies may not hire you, but you just have to check out their job description for that. Sir, how much percentage is needed to attend for an interview? Depends on the company, depends completely on company only actually. How much level should you learn programming for service-based? As I shared the syllabus here, this is how much you need to learn for service-based. About internship, I said Java classes cost, again, the same thing about 3,999 is what we do. We have taken Python course already, sir. When will InfyTQ course open for us? Pretty soon. If you're already in the Python course, then I think within this week, we'll open up the InfyTQ for you. Any tips on how to get an internship? Good point. One of the things, either internship or job, if you guys want to get into, make sure. So one of the things is keep checking this thing on edist.com. All you need to do is go to edist.com/jobs. If you go to edist.com/jobs, you will see a bunch of open job opportunities, which our team specifically curates for all of you. Meaning that our team is sitting and we're trying to figure out the best job opportunities for all of you out there. These are some of those opportunities freely available for everybody to go and see the opportunity. So please go and check it out. Today itself, we posted another opportunity here. So one is keep checking out the Edist page, the edist.com/jobs page. It will help you understand what are all the opportunities out there. And you can get an internship from there. Secondly, just keep applying. Try to apply to as many startups as possible. It's easier to get into a startup because you have lesser rounds. It's more difficult though to figure out where you want to apply because most startups don't have like a formal process. You have to reach out via LinkedIn to software engineers working there or to CEOs of that company, co-founders of those company. Like I monthly get at least 4 or 5 message requests for internship at Edist. We don't really have right now, but when we do, I announce it on LinkedIn. So like that, you can also kind of start messaging people and networking people on LinkedIn. Okay, somebody's saying right program at right time, conduct few more similar sessions. Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Thank you so much. What about mechanical projects, sir? I will not be able to comment on that. I can mostly help you out with software projects. So please share resume format. We'll do an entire session on resumes. Don't worry. When will you start full stack web development course? Somewhere in February is what's most probable. Is there any percentage cut off for a specific company? Yes, all companies have their own requirements. Please check with the company when they come to your campus or when you're applying to them. How much level should we be perfect in that programming language? Again, check out these topics. You need to be good at, to be completely perfect, you need to be good at these topics. On top of that, also there's a theoretical aspect of OOP, of multi-threading, exception handling, which will be asked in the interview process as well. Okay, so that is there. Which language is good to learn these days? Very good. This is what I was expecting. A lot of you will ask, which programming language should I choose? You should choose that programming language, number one, which you are most familiar with. Meaning that if you did some C++ in your first year, or you did Python, or you did Java, you're comfortable with that, go with that. Before placements, like just 20 days before placements or 1 month or 2 months before placement, don't change your programming language. Go for that programming language that you are most comfortable with. Number one. If you are a complete beginner, which one should you start with? Depends on the time you have. Any particular programming language is fine. There is, I would not say that there is a bigger advantage in one over the other. However, if I had to choose today, I would mainly suggest Java or Python. If you chose C++, that's also fine. Okay. Why I suggest Java and Python? It allows you to do a project also in Java and Python. Very rarely do people do project in C++. So what happens is you will do the coding in C++, and then for project, you will go to Java or Python or something. To reduce your time, I generally suggest choose one of Java or Python. And if you're a complete beginner, that is, you're not coming from any CSE background, generally those students prefer Python because the syntax is much easy to learn. So this would be my advice. C++, Java, Python, all are fine. C is okay if you're only going for services company. But even then, C does not have OOP, and OOP is asked in interviews. So again, if you're a C student, would highly recommend you try C++. C++, Java or Python is a good thing to start with. Between C++, Java and Python, I prefer Java and Python because you can do a project also in that. Between that Java and Python, I prefer Python only if you are a non-CSE student and you have little time, so you can pick up the syntax much easier. Okay, I hope I've answered that question of yours. Okay, all right. Can third years can apply for Infosys in coming February? Yeah, I think it's for you only. For 2023 graduates only, it is there. Is there another batch after Jan 10? Yeah, there will be. We keep opening up like every 45 days a batch. Best internship websites. I mean, there's no particularly great internship website, so I don't want to recommend any one right now. It's still a very unorganized thing, and you still have to reach out to companies on your own. Links please about openings. All of those will be shared. They will be shared separately. Is any participation certificate will be provided for attending this webinar? For this webinar, no. There's no certificate as such for this particular webinar. Okay. Can you suggest projects for non-IT students? A great place to start is go to Edist YouTube channel. This one, Edist YouTube channel over here. Go to that one. There are a bunch of free mini projects that are done. It's a good way for non-IT students to start doing projects. If we have backlogs and cleared, if they apply all job opportunities in services company. What I'll say is backlogs, I do not know specifically what each company's policy is. Please check up the company's policy for that. Any participation? No. I saw schedule of Python and DSA course. Some lectures are colliding. When would be next batch? Okay. Next batch for both of them will open up 45 days from the start of the previous batch. That's what I can say. Which language is best for coding? I think I just answered this one. Is there any cutoff? I answered this. Why 60% criteria? That's the company's criteria, boss. I can't change that. Sir, good in one programming language. How much level? I already answered. Any applying companies nowadays, sir? Yeah, there are two open opportunities right now as we speak of. Infosys InPTQ is one open opportunity. TCS NQT for 2022 graduates, I believe, is open. And Goldman Sachs is also open right now. So you can do. I have 9 backlogs in BTech second year. I have cleared in those in third year first sem. Present, I have no backlogs. Can placement officer check the past history or any problem in future? Please answer me. First of all, salute to you for clearing 9 backlogs in less than a year. So really kudos. I guess that you are serious about placements. I do not know how things work in your specific college, but one thing I can assure you is if you're applying off campus, nobody will care. If as long as you have 0 backlogs off campus, you're good to go. And the good news again for you is that most of these services companies that come to campus are actually not coming to campus these days. They're just doing an online test. So yeah, I think you should be good to go. But again, your college may have specific policies, so I can't say. How to practice coding and where? Very good. If you wanted to start your journey on Python programming or Java programming, go to edis.com. We have courses on that. We don't have one on C++, but there are a bunch of really great websites for C++ as well. So you can check out those also. For data structures and algorithms, we have a new batch starting up. So you can join that. If you just want InfyTQ preparation, you can join the Edis preparation pack for that. Can you share some best resumes? In my next session on resumes, I'll be sharing that. Links in chatbot. Again, I do not have the links for this right now, but if you would be kind enough to just Google it once, you'll get the links for all of these. We'll also share the links separately. Okay, repeated questions. Does the Microsoft hire non-CSE branches people? Yeah, it does. When we apply another batch, if we not apply, when will another batch open if we don't apply for Jan 10th batch? Again, somewhere in the end of Feb, we'll open the next batch, right? All right, 1 second. Sir, you said which particular language you have to focus on by the end of this. Yeah, so as I've mentioned over here, 1 second, which particular language to do, as I just mentioned, if you pick Python, so Python for complete beginners, Java for people who have some programming language, and C++ is also completely fine. These 3 is what I would suggest. Sir, which is better to select BTech branch, CSC or CSC specializations? I will not comment on this right now because I have not got enough data on that. Okay. All right. Anything else? I don't think so. Sir, please share some tips for beginners of Python. Just go to Edis YouTube channel. I've done many videos on that. You can check that out over there. So to become proficient in Java, what are the topics to concentrate irrespective of category of company? Yeah, these are the topics. These are the topics. If certification of courses are important for placement, they are good on your they're good on your resume, right? TCS will hire us based on CodeVita. I'm not sure about this time around will they hire or not. So does Toastmaster certificate used in interview? It's a good to show, but more importantly is what are you able to show in the interview? If you are able to speak properly, then that's a better certificate of yours, right? How to crack AWS and Cisco certification? That will be a separate session. We'll do that. All right. So cool. Okay, so I want to get into data science. Yeah, okay, cool. This question I did not take up. All right. So does on-campus use ATS? Off-campus does. Off-campus does. Okay. I am very poor in communication skills. Well, please practice as much as possible. That's the best way. And follow certain channels on YouTube. I don't have the list right now, but I can share later. Okay. Just to give you let's just answer all of the main ones. Which programming languages to choose? The major programming language, as I said, C++, Java, or Python, anything is fine. The reason I prefer Java and Python is because we can actually do projects in them. How do I create projects? We'll do a separate session on this altogether. But yeah, this requires some thought, and I'll do a separate session on this altogether. I'm a beginner. How should I start? One of the things you can do is go to our Python course, and you can start there. For complete beginners, that's a great place. Also check out our YouTube channel. We have a bunch of free resources. I want to get into data science. What should I do? If you want to get into data science or any specific thing like Android or this or that, unfortunately, any of the big companies will not give you the preference of which role to choose. They will just take you and you'll go into any department. That's all like the large MNCs. But if you want to really get into a specific field, try to find out the niche companies or the specific companies in those fields and start applying to them. So if you find a data science company, go and apply to them because you want data science, or a specific mobile development company, and so on. So you have to find those companies and you have to apply to them specifically. And For that, you need to know those particular things. When I say particular things, you need to know you still need to know a programming language. You still need to know you still need to have a good project. In fact, you need to have a great project in that particular field. So you're going for data science job, don't take a project of web development. You need to have a data science specific project. You still need a great resume. You still need good interview skills, communication skills, right? So you need all four, and they need to be better than usual because you're applying out of the norm. Like you're going out of your way to apply for them. I'm not from the CSE branch. How should I start? My number one suggestion would be start with Python. Simplest thing to do is to start with Python. Is the most easiest to understand. Okay. So is Java enough to go for any technologies, companies? No. So this is the thing. If you want to go for specific technologies, like if you want to go for data science, you need to start with Python. If you want to go for Android, you used to need to start with Java. Now, not so much, but it's still good if you come from Java background. If you want to go into web development, you need to learn either C++, Java, or Python, and then on top of that, learn JavaScript. C++, Java, Python to clear the written rounds, and JavaScript to actually make the projects. So it depends again on which field you're trying to get into. If you're just going for general campus placement, that is going into a company and don't care about what role they put you in, then you don't need to specifically pick up like one language. You can pick up any language and do a project in it. Can you suggest any resources to learn MLDS? I cannot right now suggest, like I don't have any particular resources right now here. Okay. All right. So I think I've answered most questions. Is there any other sort of questions that you guys have that I may not have answered? I think I've been speaking for a long time. So if it's all good, if it was useful to you, please do let me know, right? If, if this is good. Can we compensate internship with research paper publication? Yes, that will also be good. Please send your phone number, sir. I cannot send my phone number, but if you want to speak to us, just chat with us. You can go to the Edist website. We have our WhatsApp number over there. So just WhatsApp us here. We can help you out with any details you want. Just click this. You'll get connected to our counselor. How many GPA should be maintained? Up to 3.2. Again, every company has their own GPA thing. So I cannot really tell you. To be on the safe side, if you are 8+ GPA, it's always safe. 9+, so anywhere. 8+ is safe. They say 7.5 is like the last, is generally what they say. Does CGPA matter? For some companies, it definitely does matter. Sir, should we complete any score certificate for more opportunities? If you're applying specifically for that opportunity, then yes. Like if you're applying for an AWS engineer, then an AWS certificate will be good. I have knowledge in C++ and InfyTQ asks for Java or Python. How can I manage it? What to choose? Go for Java. The syntax of C++ and Java is quite similar. So I'd say go for Java. I saw schedule of Python and DSA course. Some lectures are colliding. What should I do? You can watch the recording of the DSA if you're interested in joining DSA. You can watch the recording, and the Python course should finish up pretty soon otherwise. So you can watch the recording is the major thing I can say. Can backlog allowed in Infosys? Go and check out the Infosys website. They will be the one for that, right? Sir, I'm good in academic, and now by saying your things, I'm a little bit fewer, sir. I didn't get you, but if you're good in academics, then you can pick up all of these things also. Don't worry. How do we do a best project based on Python? Based on anything, I will do a separate session to help you out with projects. Okay. Is CGPA is low, can anyone get job? Yes, you can get job. I know a lot of people with low CGPA who still got jobs. What companies are seeing CGPA or percentage? I mean, I think it's CGPA mostly. For services companies, I've seen percentages mostly. And for product companies, I've seen CGPA mostly. What is Edist CGPA cutoff? We have no cutoffs of CGPA. We look at your projects. If we want to hire you, we don't look at your CGPA. In fact, anyway, I'll not go beyond that. What company should we now expect for the 2022 batch? Good point. There will be a lot of companies, but just check out the edist.com jobs page to keep seeing what companies are going to apply. Sir, what is the minimum package in Edist? We are not hiring any freshers right now, so I can't really tell you at that point. we are hiring for senior people at this point. So at this point, we're not hiring freshers, so we don't have a minimum package as such. Okay. All right. Everybody, just a reminder. And everybody, that if you want to know more information, all the questions you're asking, all of those are actually available. Are available on our Edist YouTube page. So please kindly subscribe to that. We are kind of out of time right now, so I'll pause. Is there, I hope this session was useful to all of you. Subscribe to our channels. You will get information about all these kind of sessions in the future pretty soon, right? So we are doing one more session, in fact, next week itself. So make sure that you subscribe to our channels. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, by the way, right? So I do announce these sessions on LinkedIn also. So do reach out to me on LinkedIn, connect with me, and I'll be happy to share the upcoming sessions as well. All right. Okay. Thank you all, everybody, for joining today. And I still see some of you have some questions. Do reach out, do DM us on Instagram, or reach out to us on YouTube, comment on our videos. We'll be happy to answer there as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. For all of you who have who are watching this video on YouTube, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, like and share with your friends. To everybody else also, many of your friends may not have been able to join right now, so please do share the recording once it's shared with you all. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you all, and I'll catch you all later. Right.